Hello and welcome. Let's start with Kenya's mission in Haiti. The mission was launched to counter the armed gangs, but it itself is struggling with staffing and logistics. And who said it? Kenyan President William Ruto. He was addressing a high-level meeting on Haiti on Monday. The event was organized by the US and Kenya on the sidelines of the annual UN gathering of world leaders. Ruto said that Kenyan-led Multinational Security Support Mission in Haiti was operating at less than half of its capacity.
We have been operating at a 40% capacity. Initially, it was expected that 2,500 security personnel would be made available. Unfortunately, they were not made available. It was also expected that there would have been force multipliers, that we would have armored personnel carriers, we would have enough logistical support to be able to make this mission successful.
The Kenyan president next talked about Washington's involvement in the mission. Ruto thanked the US for the support, but he also criticized the second-hand vehicles provided by the US that put the lives of their personnel in danger. In February, the US sent at least 20 armored vehicles to Haiti.
I must commend the United States. They did make available logistics, vehicles, but unfortunately, most of the vehicles were second-hand vehicles, and therefore they broke down a lot many times. And in fact, it put our personnel in great danger when they broke down in very dangerous places. But at least they stepped up. We didn't, however, get any useful support from any other quarter.
The mission that President Ruto talked about is taking place in Haiti, which is a Caribbean nation. Almost all of its capital, Port-au-Prince, is under the control of armed gangs. The conflict has displaced over 1 million people, killed thousands of others, and has fueled famine-level hunger. Back in October of 2023, the UNSC authorized the Multinational Security Support Mission to counter these armed gangs. Kenya is leading the mission, but why? Now, Kenya has a history of sending peacekeepers to volatile countries, but for the first time it deployed troops outside Africa. It's about global positioning. Sending forces to Haiti makes Kenya look like a dependable ally in the eyes of the world. Training given to Kenya's security personnel was to fight in Haiti will further boost the capacity of its forces. Plus, the troops are also given extra allowance. Though the mission is UN-backed, the United States actively supports Kenya and has become the mission's biggest funder. As the mandate for the mission is due to expire on the 2nd of October, the US has called for an expansion of the international force to counter the gang violence. Washington believes that the current mission lacks the sources that are needed to address the growing challenges in Haiti.
Haiti stands at a crossroads. Port-au-Prince faces an escalating security crisis with gangs terrorizing communities, extorting families, and recruiting desperate children to commit horrors on behalf of gang leaders. Despite the contributions of Kenya and the countries that have joined the MSS, though, the mission currently lacks the mandate and the resources necessary to address the mounting scale of the challenge.
Speaking at the high-level meeting, the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State also announced sanctions on 2 former Haitian officials for corruption. Last month, the US and Panama presented a draft proposal to transition the existing mission into a new, larger gang suppression force supported by a new UN field office. The proposed new force would still rely on voluntary international contributions of personnel and funding. So what would be different? It's a leadership structure. The proposed new force would be led by a group of representatives from countries that have contributed personnel, plus the US and Canada. Now, Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council has welcomed Washington's proposal, and so has the Kenyan president. Ruto said that he was ready to participate in the new mission. He said that solving Haiti's situation was not mission impossible, but he warned against repeating past mistakes.
The biggest challenge and impediment to MSS was logistics, transport, support. If that remains unpredictable, I'm afraid the next mission may suffer the same as MSS. And therefore, it is very important that as we create that transition, we make sure that resourcing the new mission becomes at the heart of the transition.
Will the new proposed mission do any better than the existing one? Now that remains to be seen. For more on this, we have with us Stella Agara, a security analyst who is joining us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Hello to you, Stella. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, with Kenya's president highlighting that the multinational security support mission has been operating at less than half of its intended strength, what are the main obstacles preventing the mission from reaching full capacity? And how do these gaps impact its ability to counter the armed gangs in Haiti effectively?
Thank you very much for your question, Alison. And I think the first thing I must say is that it was extremely refreshing to see the President of Kenya being very truthful about the state of the MSS intervention in Haiti, and especially speaking concerning the resourcing and the capacity of this particular mission. I'm on record in this studio as having said that the mission itself was very hurried. The state did not take into consideration all of the factors that they needed to take into consideration before they sent teams. And I contended in the interview we had about this matter that the US was refusing to send their own people because they could not guarantee them the kind of environment that, for example, a UN peacekeeping mission would guarantee to the forces. The President of Kenya sent the forces from Kenya by faith, assuming that the resources would become available, and the report that he's giving is now telling us that maybe he should have waited a little bit more to get a bit more information. Now that the mandate of the MSS is expiring, I think it's a good time to actually do reflections. It's also a good time to correct what was done wrong. I think even the call by the U.S. Secretary of State to get the resourcing done now is a bit late, but it must be done. As he says, one of the things that happens is that when your forces are not equipped, when your forces are not able to handle the gangs that they're sent to handle, one of the things that happens is that they continue to increase animosity amongst the gangs, but then very little happens to change the situation. Having a UN peacekeeping mission is going to transform that in fundamental ways. These teams were sent to just quell the violence and hopefully restore order in their nation. A peacekeeping mission would then be put in place to do a little bit more than what the force that had been, the MSS that had been sent was doing. The other thing is that the US was funding this alone and independently taking care of the resources that are supposed to be taken care of. But if it was a UN peacekeeping mission and if approved by everyone, including the countries with veto rights, it then means they will get access to budgets that will be able to cover everything, and the budgets will be coming from other nations as well, not just the US. I think the limitation of having just one nation with an interest in resolving the conflict is what put this mission in trouble.
Right. And now the US and Panama have proposed transitioning the MSS into a larger gang suppression force with the UN field office, as you've mentioned there. What then would be the key differences in mandate, resources, and, of course, authority between the current mission and the proposed new structure?
So first, I have already mentioned the fact that if approved by the entire Security Council, plus the members that have veto rights, it then means that the different partner states will be contributing to this peacekeeping mission. It would therefore mean that there will be more resources to be availed to the peacekeeping mission. We probably will stop having the complaints about used or destroyed cars being given for the mission. Number two, it will avail more forces because the numbers were not big enough to be able to fit a peacekeeping mission, which is supposed to be having a very specific number recommended by the UN. The third thing is that it's going to be having oversight by different political actors, including the UN Security Council itself, and therefore there'll be some form of order in terms of how the process will be taking place. The other thing is that it will involve other actions that this particular force may not necessarily have been carrying out. Number one is restoring state authority. The MSS had a mandate to definitely end the gangs, but not necessarily to restore state authority. This is something that a UN peacekeeping mission would have. Disaster and humanitarian aid is something that a UN peacekeeping mission could do, can do, and will be able to be resourced to do. Of course, empowering communities and post-conflict rebuilding is something that a peacekeeping mission will be able to do that MSS was not able to do. And definitely ensuring that civilians are protected in a way that fulfills the provisions of the international humanitarian law.
Right. Stella, it's always great to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion kakarjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Kali radikali.
Japanese,
$4 trilhão mo.
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select the language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.